$23,605.10 worth of debt. A loan that my parents had taken out for me, a college loan debt that I took out for myself. I was emotionally beaten down by my debt, and I needed to do something drastic about it to get rid of it.
So she did. In January of 2010, she started a year-long spending fast.
I made a list of everything that I considered to be a necessity, and everything else was cut out. I paid off close to $18,000 worth of debt. If someone would have told me, do the spending fast and you'll be out of debt in 15 months, I would say, you're absolutely kidding me because I have no money. I never thought that would happen.
Joining me is HLN money expert Clark Howard. He has a show right here on HLN Saturdays and Sundays at noon and 4 Eastern. He's also the author of the New York Times #1 bestseller, Living Large in Lean Times. Anna Newell Jones is here. She is still debt-free. Also with me is Danielle Lewis. She's drowning in debt and looking for answers. Hopefully this will be the place for her. Now, Anna, I want to go to you first. You paid off your entire debt in just 16 months. I'm fascinated by your story. What motivated you to start? Why didn't you do it so soon? I have a million questions. Why didn't you do it sooner? How was it when you started? And was it important for you, I guess this is probably the most important question, to go cold turkey like this?
I had so much debt that I had to do something completely drastic to deal with it. So I had hit my financial bottom because I was rolling money over from account to account and overspending $200 to $300 every month. And so I had got to where I had to do something drastic to get rid of my debt, and the spending fast and my blog and then SheSaved.com was the means to get my debt paid off. And yeah, I absolutely did it cold turkey, and it worked for me. So I'm so glad I did it.
Interesting. I want to get to the sustaining. It's Clark. It's astonishing to me how much this is like a diet or an exercise program.
It is exactly the same thing. It's psychological. Just like when somebody has to give up drinking, it's the same kind of thing as the psychological need you have to defeat to feel that you'll feel better by going and buying whatever it is. And Anna made that flip, where what started to feel good is, instead of the consumption, what felt great to you, Anna, was that you were tackling it. You gained power every month when you were paying down that debt. The joy, the pride you have that you express on your blog shows that you went from feeling powerless and anxious that you got control. And I know that sounds crazy to talk about debt and money that way, but it truly is that kind of emotional thing that you have to overcome, grab a hold of the debt, and month by month, you pay it off, and you gotta go cold turkey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I stopped my spending in its tracks, and it completely was the way I needed to do it, because every single month I would make progress towards my debt, and then find myself in the same situation yet again every month, and so I just had to cut out all wants.
Clark, I want to ask you a little more about this. I'm going to bring Danielle in here in a second, because she is another one who's drowning in debt, and I think it's debt, isn't that the big issue on spending? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And before I get to the specifics of Danielle's circumstance, I want to ask you, Clark, as someone who deals with what's going on in the sort of ambient culture here with people's financial problems, do we have a sort of a global problem in this country where everyone has, are we drowning our emotional conditions in our spending, or have we come to utilize that as part of how we manage our emotions generally, our spending habits? And number two, the follow-on in that, how do we motivate people to be able to do this, and have we just lost that capacity to deprive ourselves of things?
Well, what happened was, for years and years, starting in the 90s up to 2007, we had permission to spend unlimited amounts of money. You'd go to the mailbox, you'd have a notice saying, congratulations, you've been pre-approved for this new credit card with a $20,000 limit or whatever. People took that as a green light that they were okay for the money, and the immediate gratification they got out of buying whatever it was overwhelmed the common sense that, wait a minute, they may have said I could have this new credit card and this new limit, but at some point I have to pay it off.
It's very interesting. It's like our financial obesity problem. It sounds like the same kind of phenomenon I talk about with diet. But let's get into specifics here. This is Danielle, and she needs help.
Yes.
But first, tell us what it is you do for a living.
I do finance. I do business planning for a real estate company.
So you do financial planning.
Yes.
So you have
I do accounting, finance.
You're a sophisticated accounting professional.
Math professional, I am.
You know what it'd be like? It'd be like if I became an alcoholic or something. Sometimes things just happen to you.
Yeah.
You don't realize it.
And just one day you just wake up and you're there. And because I know what I know, I think I have more of a guilty conscience than a normal person would.
Okay. All right. So you feel it's probably shame too.
Yeah, I am ashamed. I'm ashamed to be here.
But that makes you spend more. That means you spend more, doesn't it? Because you're drowning those fears.
I'm ashamed to be here.
All right. Well, listen. In his book, Clark has a chapter called "Help Me Now, Clark." So here you go, Clark. Help Danielle.
Danielle, as I hear you and I have studied some of the issues you have with the debts you have, you need to become as one with Anna. You have to completely rethink your relationship with money. Because right now, your underlying attitude is, well, if I want to do this, I'm going to go do it. I work hard, I'm busy, I need the reward. But you need to learn what Anna has talked about in her blog, which is you need to learn to separate your needs from your wants and understand that there's a stronger need you have. You would not be here right now if you didn't feel some anxiety about these levels of debt.
Right there is where this whole issue turns.
Sure.
How does she find the motivation to get started? Because the fact is exactly what you say is going on. How does she begin that process of feeling that satisfaction of being empowered in tackling this debt?
It's just like somebody who's trying to give up cigarette smoking. You might have to try again and again, but you have to have that. You know how you get a rush when you go out and buy something for yourself? You need to have a rush when you go to the mailbox and you get that bill and you see the balance is lower, that you see you're making progress. But as a financial person, Danielle, it's actually easier for you because what I think you need to be about is a 5-year plan.
Let's look at Anna's situation. Now, during month 8 of Anna's year-long, again, it's what she called a spending fast, she actually gave in to temptation and purchased a $200 pair of designer sunglasses. Watch this.
This is literally what happened in my head. I said, well, self, I need these sunglasses because they're going to really, really protect my eyes and they'll be like just perfect. And if I'm gonna spend money on something, I might as well just make sure it's gonna last forever. I had the most horrible buyer's remorse that you could ever imagine. So I wore them for a week and then I returned them.
So Anna, you had a little relapse. You were chipping there with sunglasses.
Now I'm doing a spending diet, and so I have $100 per month for non-needs, and it's actually so much harder to do a spending diet because it brings back the discretionary spending, which I got in trouble with in the past. So, but one thing I wanted to tell Danielle is that once you get the momentum of saving money, it's going to be so rewarding to be able to send off those bills every month. And actually, saving can be as fun as shopping.
Ladies, thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate you being here, and I no shame, Danielle. I think we all understand what you're going through. And Anna, congratulations. But again, I think these are very relatable stories. Now next, what are your money concerns? Clark is going to answer your questions about debt, savings, and wealth. He knows what he's talking about. His book, Living Large in Lean Times, is #1 on the New York Times bestseller list.